Hi, this is 365801, and this is another year in BL review video for 2024. And this is my I spent how much on BL video. Yes, this is my spending review. I make an annual video of everything that I spent over the year on BL, and I've been doing this every year that I've been on BookTube. So this is my 6th year making this video, so I have a lot of data that I can compare and contrast every new year too. And when I totaled up the amount, it was kind of scary for this year. So yeah, this is a difficult year. It's been a difficult year, 2024 in general, not the best of years, and I feel like maybe this is a representation of this. So yeah, stay tuned for the total at the end. It's a doozy. So yeah, for everyone who has been looking forward to this video, sorry that it's taken so long, and thank you for waiting. I do hope that the other videos in this take a little bit faster to come out, so fingers crossed for that. I just want to say, as usual, a little disclaimer that this is just a representation of my spending habits over the year. It's not a representation of anyone else's. If this kind of video is not for you, practice self-care and click off. I have no problems with people doing that. But yeah, if you are interested in the downfall of an individual through their own lack of self-control, then yeah, stay tuned and look out for the big number at the end. I do feel like this is a good thing for me to do, as much as it is quite scary. It's a good thing when I have a positive year and I can pat myself on the back and praise myself for doing well. 2024, I did not. Spoiler alert, I did not. It's bad, guys. It's really bad. So if you want to stick around for my downfall, sure. Let's just get into it, shall we? Let's go through everything that I spent in 2024. So we're going to start with January, obviously. And January 2024, I picked up 25 volumes. So starting the year off either really strong or really weak, depending on your perspective. This was shocking. But I did get them for £131.59, so maybe not so bad. But I also picked up one digital title that was Love Pistols, and I got that for £4.99, which takes my January total spend to £136.58. Now, moving on to February, and in February I picked up 28 volumes, so it just got worse. And I got all of those volumes for £191.12. I didn't pick up any digital. I didn't spend anything on digital. So yeah, my total is, for the month of February, which is a short month, £191.12. Now into March, and in March I went back down to 25, which maybe seems like a good idea. But I did spend more money, and that was £212.78, which is actually quite a bit more than January's for the same amount of physical titles. So I didn't pick up any digital though, that's good. So my total is for March £212.78. Now, by this time, I had had the worst start to a year I have ever had. So I tried to reduce the amount that I was spending and the number I was getting. And so in April, I picked up 12 physical titles, and that was £67.79, and I didn't get any digital expenditure. So in that respect, that's a bit better. It's still not the 7, but that I always aim for, but yeah, it's much better than the previous 3 months. Now, it seems in May that I was back up to my usual shenanigans, and I got 22 physical volumes in May, and I spent £120.65. I once again didn't pick up any digital or have digital expenditure, so my total was £120.65 for the month of May. Then we go on to June, and I don't know what happened in June, because this is even worse. And I picked up 38 physical volumes. 38? once again, quite a bit probably from Sapphire, so that was a big expenditure, and it was £248.68. But I did have some lessen expenditure, not terribly much. So my total for the month of June is £251.60. I think most of that might be, excused away as birthday money that I might have picked up from people. And so that could be an excuse, but I don't think I have a proper excuse for the amount that I spent in June. Back to 2021 volumes in July, but they were kind of pricey, and there was kind of a big expenditure there for some of it, and that meant that my total was £212.70 for what I picked up in July. So the number that I got versus the cost doesn't seem the best ratio. So yeah, that was a little bit of a shock as well. And we go into August, and August is once again a very large haul, and that was 30 physical volumes. And I got this for £265.45. So no digital expenditure, but a sizable number of very pricey volumes in there as well. Now, at this point in the year, I am trying to backpedal massively in terms of how much I'm buying and how much I'm spending, because I'm very aware that I am overspending. So September, you might think, great, there's only 10 volumes, which is over my 7 maximum. But the cost of these volumes is astronomical. It's £211.38. And that's mainly just because of one particular out of print expensive thing that I bought myself. I decided to just bite the bullet and buy it, and I did, and that means they are very expensive. If we move on to October, October is the first month where I'm like, good for you, girl energy. And I picked up 6 volumes, but those 6 volumes were still kind of pricey in terms of some of the full price recommended retail price danme that I got. And so I spent £76.10, no digital expenditure, but for 6 volumes that is kind of pricey. I'm not too disappointed in the manga that I picked up, because those were all really great bargains. Once again, I'm trying to keep it low, and then in November I got 8 volumes. There were a few pricey ones there because I was trying to get the neck comics that were going to go out of print pretty quickly, and so I did pick up the full series of The Warehouse, and those 8 volumes were a little bit more than I would have liked, and either recommended retail price or slightly over. So I spent £104.67 in the month of November, no digital expenditure, so £104.67 is my total for November. And going out the year 2024 with a bit of a bang, and I picked up 29 physical volumes in December. Woof, just not as bad as the worst month, but still pretty high up there. I spent £185.70, but I did pick up some coins from Leshin, and so my total was £203.69 for the month of December. Going out there with a bit of Christmas money, maybe, that's my excuse anyway. So let's go over the overview for the year. Now I'll go through my goals a little bit more later in the video, but generally for the last few years I have made it my goal to spend £50 or less per month, and to get 7 or less volumes per month. And as you can see, there has not been a single month in 2024 that I spent less than £50. And there was only one month where I picked up less than 7 volumes. So you can say that this is a big failure of a year, but it also doesn't bode well for the total. And the total is the thing that has shocked me the most, and I don't really want to admit to it, but it feels really quite shocking when I look at it. I feel like I have to though, so Drum roll, please. The total that I have spent on BL in 2024 is £2,054.51. Now, as usual, if you are from the US, you're probably going to know what that is in dollars. It's $2,609.65, which is a lot. It's kind of double what I spent last year. It is double what I spent last year. And that was quite a shock to my system. It's probably why it's taken me so long to get this video out. And yeah, I had to then like really look seriously at what I had spent and what I had purchased to justify that, or to be able to really understand how I'd got that number and how it got so big, because I wasn't really paying that much attention when I was buying lots of bargains. And that's what it felt like. I was still buying bargains. So I wondered why it was such a high number. Now, because I have so many years of data, I can compare it to previous years. And as you can see, it is £1,000 more than 2023. Yeah, it's a lot more than 2022. Again, almost £1,000 more than 2021. And I just keep going back and thinking, of all the years that I've been doing this, I never thought I would spend £2,000, and that is an awful lot of money when I'm looking at it right now. So yeah, it was a bit of a shock, and I definitely needed a minute or two to just sit there in the shock of it and welcome the consequences of my actions. Now, in previous videos, I have then went on to look at what I got for that money, and I did get 254 volumes of print physical manga or manhwa or danme. With the additional digital one, it just takes it up to 255, because I don't really count the like any kind of resin coins or tapitoon or tapas and things like that. So it's still going to be considered, for the purposes of the video, to maintain it with the previous years, 254 print volumes that I can look at and compare and contrast to previous years. So if we have a look at that, it is significantly higher than previous years. So I guess that's why I've got that. 254 is quite a lot, but it doesn't really feel like it's double 163. So I feel like that should be more around the 300 mark if I'm spending £2,000. Whereas last year, 2023, I spent £1,000 and I got 163. If I'm spending double, then I should have over 300. That's how my mind works. If I'm getting the same bang for my buck, and that doesn't bode well for that. So the average cost of a volume is obviously a lot higher in 2024, or at least I'm spending more than other years when I've had really great bargains. And I did get a lot of really great bargains last year. If we look at the average cost of one volume across 2019 through to 2024, you can see 2024 down there, £8.09 is the average cost of one volume, whereas in 2023 it was £5.86, and I was so proud of that. I was so proud to get £5.86 as my average, and bang, right up. This is the most expensive it has ever been. £8.09, compared to even some of the other years when I was collecting and tracking all of this. £7.63 is, you know, there's a big difference if you have 250 volumes and it's like 40 pence each volume. That's a lot more money. So I really do understand now why that is. But in my head, I still couldn't work it out. So I had to go back and look more in depth at exactly what I did buy. Now, as usual, we do look at certain things like the most expensive, and this would usually help me to understand where that money, that average cost is coming from. The most expensive one is one that I didn't really want to talk about it in March, and I don't really want to talk about it now, and that is Kizuna Deluxe Volume 3, where I spent £60.74. I also spent like £11 on it. So I ended up spending £70 on 2 copies of the exact same volume, which I thought was the only time that happened, but it turns out no. I've done that twice in 2024, it's been a long time since I've done that, but yeah, £60, which I thought at the time was quite a big expenditure, but it turns out there's quite a lot of things that I spent a lot of money on. Now, the least expensive one is the one I actually enjoy talking about a lot more, because I felt like I'd had a lot of really great wins over 2024. I thought I'd done really well on getting bargains. Now, last year I did put 2 down that were 0 cost. One of them was one that I got free when I spent a certain amount, or I bought so many volumes and I got one free from World of Books. I haven't done that this year, so I have assigned a value to everything. And that just means that there were quite a few between the costs of £2 and £3 that are on my list just now. Now, the absolute cheapest one was Merman in My Tub, Volume 8, and I got that for £2.36. I also got Osan Idol Volume 4 for £2.49. Now, they're not technically BL, but I'm adding them to my collection, and I think they're kind of slashable. So, I don't know if I haven't read them all yet. I did read Osan Idol Volume 1, and that was very old man yaoi type thing going on. So yeah, I can count that. The other one that I've got there is Boy Princess. I picked up the whole set from Kat, so thank you very much to Kat. And each volume was £2.66. I started the year off really well. In fact, January was a great month in terms of how many volumes I picked up and the overall cost, which meant that each volume was like £5, maybe something like that. I also picked up the Do Whatever You Want, the first 3 volumes of that series by Net Comics, and I'm not really sure, but I don't think that's a BL either, but I wasn't really sure and I wanted to get it. I still haven't read them yet, and each of those volumes, 1, 2 and 3, were between £2 and £3, so I have been able to get quite a lot of really good bargains. I got quite a lot at between the 3 and the 4, and between the 4 and the 5, and between the £5 and the £6 range. So I really did wonder why my average cost is so high. So I looked back over last year, and last year I had only 8 volumes that were £10 or more. And the most expensive one was the £33 Incubus volume. Then I had 2 that were £18 that were also older, out of print and rare ones. And then the rest of those 8 were between £10 and £12, so they weren't expensive. So I very rarely buy anything that's £10 or above. I'm always looking for ones that are much cheaper and good deals. So I decided to count how many of the volumes in 2024 were over £10. And it's 41 compared to 8 in 2023. And then I totaled up the 2024 purchases that were the most expensive, the 41 most expensive, and that came to £779.64, which means the average cost of the most expensive volumes that I purchased was £19.02, which kind of blows my mind. But then when I looked through things, I underlined all of the things that were over £10. It was like, yeah, that was kind of pricey. That's a bit more pricey. And some of them were full recommended retail price, like Rose May, Dan May, that kind of thing. And then some of the really out of print ones as well. Now that leaves, if I minus the 41 most expensive, then I have 213 left that are least expensive. And then I totaled them up together. So the 2024 purchases of the 213 least expensive totaled to £1,274.87. Now I think that's not too bad. 1,200 for 213 volumes. That's pretty good. Now, when I look at the average cost of one volume of these 213, it goes down to £5.98. And I was like, yes, Eureka, this makes sense now. So it's not because I've not been getting bargains. I have. I've been getting 213 bargains that were really, really good. But unfortunately, I picked up 41 that were not really bargains, that were pretty expensive. And that's what's pushed it over by £779 worth to the 2000 mark. And that's a big issue. So I think I'm going to have to really rein in large purchase spending and limit that to just like I had in 2023, 8. Only 3 of them were actually more than £12. So I need to really look into that for future purchases. Now, if I look at my goals from 2024, I decided to just carry on my 2023 goals, which was an absolute mistake, and we can all just acknowledge that. 7 volumes a month only happened once. 84 volumes in the year, nope. 254. £50 spend limit per month, absolutely not a single month. And like I said, some of the months it was 5 times that. 5 times that, which is shocking. 600 spend limit, not even on the 41 most expensive. So yeah, it was a big failure, a big fat failure, and it makes me feel like a big fat failure to see those goals written up there. So for 2025, my goals are going to be a little different. I'm finally going to have a different goal because I can tell you right now, I've already failed on these goals for January and February already. So there's no point in having these very arbitrary goals now. They feel like they are. So my 2025 goals is basically going to be spend less than in 2024. I just need to make sure that I do that. I feel like that's it's a lesser goal, but it's certainly, I think, an achievable one if I am not buying large, expensive purchases. Limit that down. I want the average cost per volume to be less than 2024. I don't want it to be over £8 per volume. I want it to be more like £5 or £6. I want that. I want my average to be back to normal. And I need to buy bookshelves. This is kind of a weird one because I'm just putting it in here anyway, mainly because I'm looking around my room and I have stacks and stacks and stacks of books because my drawers are full and I need to organise my shelves and I want to display and see what I've got to read, and maybe hopefully that will motivate me to read more, because I can tell you right now, spoilers for the next videos, I'm not reading what I'm buying either, so yeah, it's not great. But every time I do this video, I also put down a few positives, and I usually show them earlier in the video, and I've left them to the end, because I feel like we should end this video on a positive note. And one of the big positives is, and it's pretty good for me, I'm really excited, and I actually thought originally that it was just 2, but it turns out I have completed 3 out-of-print publishers just in 2024. You would think, yeah, of course you should have with the amount you spent. And you're not wrong, So for the last 3 years previously, I have completed 2 out-of-print publishers every year, and this year for 2024 I thought, wow, I've done it again, brilliant. But when I actually looked at what I bought, I realised technically I've kind of finished 3. I'll go through them in the completing collections video as well, but I'm just really happy I've managed to get 3 out-of-print publishers. One I wasn't expecting to even be an out-of-print publisher. They went out of business or they stopped publishing, so that was a big one. And one I wasn't expecting to spend as much money. Well, basically both of them I wasn't expecting to spend as much money on, but I did, so that happened. So yeah, the 3 out-of-print publishers, as much as I'm really happy about them, they all came at a cost. And yeah, the cost was to my wallet, so yeah. The other thing that is a positive is the amount of manga I now have, BL, in my collection. So I've added another 250 volumes. So it is a 1,670 plus. Now the plus is there because I'm never really 100% sure how many volumes I have in my collection. I sometimes count things as pros and I put them in, and sometimes I don't. Some things I'm not entirely sure if I would class them as BL or if there's something else. So yeah, this is most of my collection. I think it's 1,670 plus volumes of BL. Now, of those ones that I have read and unread, that's another video for a later time, and I swear I will get it done. All of this is just me doing like, hey, here's another video in the making. But yeah, this is going to be another one. And this is another reason why I need those bookshelves, because I have so many volumes. So that is it for another year on my spending, but I still have my buying versus reading and my completing collections videos to do as well. And they also take a bit of work. So if you'd like to watch those when they get posted, don't forget to subscribe and ring the notification bell so you can get notified when that goes up. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, or how you budget, or what your spending plan is. I find it fascinating. I love statistics, and I love collecting, and I love other people's collections and what they do. So if you've got any comments at all down in the comments below, I'd love to hear from you. And if you just want to leave me an emoji to say you were here, maybe pick either a stack of books or the money flying away, because that's what happened in 2024. Thanks so much for watching to the end of this video. Take care, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!